1 of Superlap 2021 was held at Taupo during the Historic Racing Club's massive Tasman Revival event, which boasted over 200 entrants across a dozen or more classes. Luke entered his Turbo Silvertop Starlet, and Mark his V8 E36 BMW. After a long gestation, Brendan's VK Commodore Big Banger replica had its first outing, and Rachel Norris debuted her new E36 BMW 325i. Superlap is a time attack class focused on achieving the fastest possible lap time within one of several subclasses: Street, Pro Street, and Pro Open. I drove the Sentra down on 2K Cup spec Dunlop Director Z2s, intending to use them for this event, but Luke surprised me with an offer to use a spare set of Toyo R888Rs, which I obviously jumped at. Cal pointed out to me that in Street class, which Rachel and I had entered, the minimum treadwear rating allowed is 180. And the 888s are only 80. They're an actual semi-slick as opposed to a summer tyre like the Z2. The 888s would put me into the Pro Street class, which is generally more competitive than Street. This round, however, there were no entrants in Pro Street, and an uncontested class win is still a win. Yeah, I switched classes. One goal for the weekend was to beat Rachel's BMW, which is faster on paper, but also had no development time, and was her first rear-wheel drive competition car. First stint out, I managed to catch and overtake her, which felt like a solid start. The Sentra was running well, though my aging Mintex pads were feeling the heat despite the newly reinstalled brake ducting, which 2K Cup doesn't allow. This is Taupo's new weird pit entry, which comes off the drag strip, which is normally just a runoff area from the main straight. It feels a little bit like accidentally finding yourself driving on a footpath. Right, so first session out, car felt pretty good, but I only recorded a 157. Second stint, I realised that I still had my ABS relay in, which really cooked up my braking, so I retired early from that one and didn't record a time. Now I should all be under control for stint 3, and I'm going to try and get better than my PB here at Taupo, which was a 155. Those words came back to haunt me. By this time the track had gone off and everyone's lap times were suffering. My only real hope was to start fresh on Sunday and try to improve from there. Sunday morning I came out determined to do better. Here's my first stint of the day. This time I'm taking a wide entry into turn 1, as opposed to my normal tighter entry. People tell me my way is crap. Short shifting to 3rd, button off a little bit to get turned into 2. Not really clipping the apex there. Foot hard down again, coming up for turn 4. Another little lift off the throttle and hard down. There's a little rise there, so you got to be careful on the exit. Braking hard down to 2nd gear for turn 5. On the power early, could be earlier. And then turn 6, which isn't really a corner on this car. Gear downshift to 2nd. There's a little bit of camber to this corner, so you can take it faster than you'd think, but you've got to be careful on the exit because those concrete ripple strips are really violent. Turn 8 again is just a bent straight in the Sentra, keep my foot hard down. Turn 9 is probably my favourite corner on the track. Little dab on the brakes and back on the power, clip that apex. If you don't get the turn in nailed, you tend to run wide on the exit. I've been across that grass on various angles a number of times. Slight short shift into 4th there. And I take a tight entry into turn 11 sweeper. 2 downshifts. Sort of double apex it. Second apex is just here. Hard on the gas again. And down the straight. This takes a little while on the Sentra. Fourth gear, 6,000 RPM. I'm probably doing 165, 170 there. My speedo's out because of the larger tyres. Downshift to 3rd on the way into the chicane. Then down to 2nd for the right-hander. Back on the power. Get it turned. And pin it for the run to the finish line. Despite my best efforts, I was only able to record a 158. I was watching as at every stint Rachel was chipping away at my time. I wasn't the only one struggling, however.
The other option is we send it out to the bottom of the wheel arch again, mate.
Brendan had recurring fuel pump, fuel surge issues in his Commodore, and Luke actually physically broke his gearbox casing. Now I'd like to compare my fastest lap with Rachel's fastest lap in her BMW. I have a slightly better run down the start-finish straight, and I get into turn 1 a tenth of a second before she does. Taking a tighter line on the way out, and by the time we come into turn 2, I've extended the lead to about 2/10 of a second. Her run is from Sunday and mine's from Saturday. You can see how she's taking an aggressive line, really monstering those curbs, whereas I'm being quite conservative. On Sunday I tried to do the same, but it wasn't enough, basically. Right, at this point I've extended my lead to 4/10 of a second as we come into turn 7. And the margin stays like that all the way along here. So at the way out of turn 9, Rachel claws it back to 3/10 of a second here. There doesn't seem to be any significant difference in speed. Yeah, she ended up slightly faster on the way into turn 11, and it's now down to 2/10. And it basically stays at 2/10 for now. But by the end of the straight, when we come up to the 200 meter marker there, it's down to 1/10 of a second, and she's braked later and brought it right back to 1/10 on the way through 12 and 13. On the way through 14 here, she's actually ahead of me by 1/10 of a second, but I got a better run and clawed it back to 3/1000ths of a second. She beat me by. So congrats, Rachel, that was good driving, and I'm going to try not to lose next time. So I took away the class win, yeah, but also the moral victory. The Sentra was the only car in either street class to be driven to and from the track. I say that not out of any sense of superiority, but to make it clear that I'm dedicated to the shitbox lifestyle to an illogical extent. Anyway, I'd like to thank Kerry for organising, Crew Chief Todd for running our motley crew like an actual race team, Manda, Reed and Cal for all their help, and Mammoth Insulation for sponsoring my entry.